Bless up to everybody. Thanks for tuning back. Thanks for stopping by again. It's Nicardo Media House, the morning inside of it again, and a happy Monday to everybody. Happy Monday. It's a brand new week. We already shift, course, the Unity Cup, that already ended already, and that was a successful, little tour in England, where we play Nigeria and Trinidad and Tobago, and we witnessed a lot of stuff. We learned a lot of stuff about the team, and we learned a lot of stuff that the team needs to work. And so in terms of strength and weakness, the coach must learn a lot from what happened in the last two games. But it's time for our bread and butter, and you will say it is the World Cup qualifier, coming up, BVI, the next game up on the agenda, and Guatemala in Kingston, Jamaica at the office. Hopefully we can jump back inside of the office of what they did in London. Can we match that atmosphere? It was second to none. But I'm going to touch on few little stuff, but as well, two players, one will say they finish out their club season on a high, and it was good news for them. And also one other player, you will say they finished their season on a bad note, which they thought that they were going to be in the European competition coming a month and a half from now, Norman Campbell and Trivante Stewart. And also a lot of noise about Dexter Lemekisa. I'm going to talk about him as well, and that's what coming up in this video. And also one player that might be the savior to help Dexter Lemekisa, might be through the door in the next window. But let's see what will happen on Tuesday, if he will be in the squad going forward in the World Cup qualifier, as he's not in the Gold Cup provisional 60-man squad. So hopefully he will be ready. But let's talk about that right after this. So Trivante Stewart's season has come to an end finally in the Serbian Super League, and you will say it was a successful season, and he did exactly what Jonah Flemings did last season. We had two reggaeboy players that, two attacking players that scored double digits goal in the Serbian Super League back to back. So we have Jonah Flemings did it last season. Now we have Trivante Stewart, and I must say this league, when you look at the last 4 or 5 seasons, the top 10 top strikers in the league that scored the most goals, at least 5 of them go on to move to a different club outside of the Serbian Super League. And if it's not if it's inside of the Serbian Super League, they will move on to one of the better or the top club in Serbian Super League. I saw players move from the Serbian League to French, then into Scandinavia. We saw Jonah Flemings got big money move to UAE. So with Trivante Stewart, with someone like him, 14 goals scored after the season in 35 games, and I must say that his team won, over the weekend. They won that game, and it was a two-legged game and aggregate, and they saved their season. It was like a relegation playoff, where something like a Bundesliga format, where a few weeks about we see Heidenheim and Helsingborg, a team in the Bundesliga 2 and a team in the Bundesliga played, to keep their, to play a promotional game. If Heidenheim won, which they did, they stayed in the Bundesliga. If the other team would have gone on to beat Heidenheim, they would have get promoted to the Bundesliga. So it's a similar format of the Bundesliga. But I must say this, Trivante Stewart, what a tremendous season. What a bounce back after, a couple of miserable times, especially in Italy for Salernitana, a miserable season, for another club in the Serbian Super League. I think it's Jovar. So now he showed the true potential of what Trivante Stewart can do, and for him to score 14 goals in 35 games, and he matched that up with what Jonah Flemings did. I think Jonah Flemings scored 15 goals last season. So he had 18 goals contribution. He had 4 assists to top off on that. So you have a very, very good season with 12 months still left back on his contract. And will he play for that same club, Radnicki, going into the new season of the Serbian Super League, or will there be offer somewhere around Europe? And I must say, this is a player that season, he just had in the Serbian Super League. It will try, it should be around somewhere around the reggaeboy setup, because the Serbian Super League is such a good league, but it's going to be very difficult at the moment. But if you ask me, Trivante Stewart is a player that going forward needs to be somewhere around the Reggae Boy camp. You understand? Somewhere close to Steve McLaren. Whenever he need a number 9, Trivante Stewart is a player that needs to be recognized, because the job that he have done in the last 12 months in his career, it is a tremendous work. And if you look at the goals and how he's been playing, you could see that a player is playing with a lot of swagger, a player playing a lot of confidence. He's a much improved player. He's a little bit more lethal in front of the goal. He scored different types of goal: overhead, headers, tapping, screamer, you name it. Run through, dribbling from 25 yards out, and what we even saw, trip the goalkeeper. You understand? So he scored different types of goal, and moving forward, he should be somewhere around the Reggae Boy setup, because players like these, mid-20s, such a very good age, you need to reward him as well, because we've seen over the years a lot of players, been in and out of the Reggae Boy team and not playing so prolific for their club team, and not playing at the standard where Trivante Stewart is playing at the moment. And look, if he managed to go in his last year of his contract for Radnicki in the Serbian Super League, he will be out of that club in the near future, and a bigger club will come at him. Norman Campbell was once in that league, moved to Scandinavia. So let's see what's going to happen. I know clubs be tabbing around for Trivante Stewart, and hopefully if he go on to move in the near future, especially in a month or two from now, let's pick the right decision, and let's pick the best league or the best club that can help to nurture this talent, because he's such a good player, and he was just out of his depth in Salernitana, moving from Mount Pleasant. He just didn't ready at that moment. He just need to step down a little bit and learn and try to adapt to European football, of what the coach really wants and what European football really needs from him to improve his game. But moving on, Norman Campbell, another player that once was a player in the Serbian Super League, played over the weekend as well. His team played the runner-up team, of the Danish Cup, where they went on to, they lost that game. I think they lost 3-1. Weedy Campbell only got like 5-6 minutes in the game. A player that have started, 9 games. He have started 9 games, since the calendar year start. And I think he came off the bench like 4 times. So I mean, this is a player that been, in around, the setup for, Randers FC. And it's just unfortunately that, they lost out, on a spot to try to get into the qualification round for the Conference League. And I must say that, it's just devastated that he didn't, manage to help his team to get in, the Conference League qualification round. And, you just have to try again, but it's a long-time project. He's someone that they're going to work on his contract. Still have like 3 more years left back on his contract. So it's a long-term project for him. He will be in around the setup again. And next season will be a big season for him. He will go into that season with, as one of the main top player. So they invest heavy on him, and they will be banking on next season. But it's all about what he did. 7 goals. He matches tally of what he did a few seasons back. I think it was his first season in the Serbian Super League, where he scored 7 goals. So I mean, this season was all about like a learning curve. First season in Scandinavia and the Danish league. And look, let me just say this, it's been out because injured, suspension, that, he managed to, to get, look minutes of game, but he missing, a few games. As I said before, he started 9 games in the new year of 2025, I think he came off the bench like 4 times as well in the new year as well. But, learning curve and everything, but it's all about what he will do in his second season in the Danish league. So, I mean, look, just narrowly missed out on a conference qualification round spot, to try to play European, football. I mean, this should be motivation for him that, they come so close. And, it's just that it was 1 game to get over the hurdle. He didn't manage to get it, but hopefully next season he can go higher and start to do greater things and do bigger things. But a player like this needs to be around the setup. Trust me, like, Weedy Campbell needs to be around the setup. Young player. The coach want to play with energy. The coach want to play with speed, intensity. And if you ask me, if we have another player like Cephas and Dixon and Norman Campbell who can bring that a bit of same match, Ronald Cephas with that same intensity, probably would, get a much better result. And he's one of our most complete wingers. Then you talk about a player that can play as a winger, play as a second striker, play as a number 9. So he's a new type of modern winger that we have, and young player. We need to believe in him, not because he's far away over in Scandinavia, but look at how he performed last season in the Serbian Super League, and look how he performed this season. I mean, his performance is chop and change, but again, young player, first season in a tougher league than where he was previously. These stuff will always happen, and how it's all about, and how he's going to back up this season and go again. Again, 3 year left back on his contract. There's no rush for him. He is a young player. They highly rated this talent, and it's for us now to build on what he left off and at his club at the end of the season, and he needs to be in that squad that will play BVI and also Guatemala, and also will pick tomorrow. If Norman Campbell is not amongst the squad that's going to pick tomorrow, I will be a bit devastated. I'll be a little bit like if Norman Campbell can't make the squad, and we see some other faces, then there will be a lot of speculation around. But moving on again, Dexter Lemekisa, look, not the best of games recently, but if you ask me, since he scored that goal in the Nations League versus Panama, his game kind of tail off a little bit, many reasons. He went through a very good season in 2023-2024. I said it already, the Wolves team, they had a plan for him. Now this season come to an end. Didn't have no plan for him, from last year summer until now, no plans. They signed a Brazilian wing back, a right wing back, for like a couple £1 million, close to 10 million, and you could see that, look, there are no plans of him getting into the team. New coaches come at the helm for Wolves, and you should that they go in a different direction than Lemekisa. But Lemekisa is a young fella. He been playing for the last couple of years now for us, and it shows that he want to play men's football. He want to play for the Reggae Boy, and he showed that desire and that commitment to really come over from England to represent the Reggae Boys. Not like the other one them that waiting. No, he made up his mind such a early age, and you have to give him that. But his performance is these stuff would happen. He's a young player, and I hate when people, especially in the Reggae Boy space, say a player might have 5 consecutive brilliant game on the bounce, and as soon as them have a bad game, it's like them are rubbish the player. No, football doesn't work like that, my friend. Football is like a lottery ticket. Today you're good, tomorrow you're bad. You understand? Is how you can be more consistently. Lionel Messi, he wasn't, as much as Lionel Messi scored over 70-80 goals in the calendar year, he wasn't consistent, but he just managed to put the ball in the back of the net. But again, great players come with other great teammates. These stuff will happen. But Dexter is a player that we need to believe in. He will come better. But this summer should be a massive summer for Dexter Lemekisa. Dexter should go out on a permanent move away from the Wolverhampton setup, where he can go to a club where they can believe in him, where they can believe in this potential, believe in this kid that's known that this player can help that club go to the next level, and it will help his career go to the next level. And speaking of Dexter Lemekisa not having the best of time, I can understand that, but I still have a lot of confidence in that he is our number 1 right back at this moment, present time. He is the one that, if we're going to play a final tomorrow, Dexter Lemekisa is the one that should start, because he's the one and only 2-1-2 right back will have that with that quality. Anybody else who want to put in that position, it's going to be a makeshift, or if it's going to be a other right back, it's going to be a downgrade of the quality of that Dexter. Because if we had a better right back, then Dexter wouldn't be that right back we have in the present moment. But talking about right back, Dexter Lemekisa will need help, because we say this a lot of time on this channel, and moving forward we need at least 2 to 3 players in each position where it can give the players competition. And I don't think, because of Dexter not having the best of competition, why his performance still up. If you listen to the fella how he speak in interview, how he did podcast, and how he talk about his career, this is a player that wants to go to the top of football, and you know, he's a true believer of his career, and he's a true believer of, you know, the Almighty. And for him, he's not a cheater of the game. He wants to go right at the top. So it's not because there's no player in the pool that can give him that competition, you know, when he comes on international duty. It's all about different levels and, you know, the phases that he's going through in his development, and he still have a lot to learn. But speaking of the right back, Dujon Sterling, Dujon Sterling, they're on the ground. Dujon Sterling are one of them that expect to be announced as a reggae boy player in the near future. This is a player that they're on the ground looking about, you know, his passport, dealing with the necessaries that needs to take care of so he can be a reggae boy player in the near future. And potentially he might be in the squad that Steve McLaren will name tomorrow. Don't be surprised. Again, we will go on to see a new face in every window, or every squad that's going to announce in the next 3 windows. So give it to tomorrow window, the Gold Cup window, and the September window. We will see a new face in every one of those windows moving forward, because there's a lot of players in the pipeline that are coming through. And the game that we played in London, that will help, you know, speed up a lot of process, because a lot of players will see that atmosphere, will see, you know, how the fans gravitate and, you know, everything. I know the Reggae Boys, the team was so contagious to the fans that, you know, the fans want a little bit more. They wish they had even 1-2 more games, you know, in London where they could at least go and support the Reggae Boys, you know. So Dujon is one that, you know, it's really close. He's someone that, you know, dealing with his documents, and he will add, you know, a very, very stiff competition between him and Dexter, because Dujon is a player that been playing men's football for the last probably 5 to 6 years now, well, you know, at the highest level. You know, another ex-Chelsea academy player, and I don't know what is you know, the process of, you know, getting all these ex-Chelsea players, you know, that used to be in the academy, you understand. But Dujon is a quality player, again, an all-rounded player that can play. I don't know which position this player cannot play. I don't know which position. When they had this Dutch coach, I think his name is Clement, you know, at Rangers, I remember he did an interview and he was like, yo, sometimes I don't even know where to play Dujon Sterling, you know, what is his best attributes on the pitch. He's such a well all-rounded player that can use left, right foot, centre back, right back, left back, CDM, 8, 10, wingers. He played every single places on that football pitch. Is that a good thing? Yes, that's a good thing for international stuff, but that's not really a good thing at the club level. As you know, you can be move around in different positions, you understand, but that would, you know, with the addition of Dujon Sterling, will add real quality to the national team. And moving forward, Dexter Lemekisa will have him job cut out, because Dujon will be right there to be one of the probably the number 1 starting right back in our national pool. And if you want to, you know, to have his quality inside of the midfield, he can do that same job as he, you know, can do in his natural right back position. But I mean, you know, player with speed, player with experience, and this is why, you know, it's going to be vital for experienced players in the national setup, you know, to let these players feel comfortable, teach them a little bit more of what it is to play in CONCACAF. And Damian Lowe is a vital piece of this jigsaw for the Reggae Boy moving forward. It doesn't matter what, once Nana Lowe is fit, he needs to be around the setup, because he is a player that can help new players, just a bit of advice, just a bit of talking of what it is about in the CONCACAF region. You know, we have nobody else as experienced as Nana Lowe, someone that, you know, experienced even before making his debut for the Reggae Boy. You know, just because his daddy, you know, you don't know the big man Andy Lowe. So that's it, people. You know, I've come to a end, you know, of the Morning Insider. You know, maybe another video you'll drop later today. You know, best upon yourself. Thanks for watching. This is Nicardo Media House. I'm out. See you guys another time. Ciao.